So, going live in three, two, one.
Ah,
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back once more to the Casual Cats
Coach, I need
podcast. Back from the dead. Casual Cats podcast, back from the dead.
the uh the return to streaming
Yes,
here.
we had a short hiatus. All our loyal viewers watching. Fuck yeah, This is for anyone in the future, I guess, that
For
stumbles
anyone
upon
who's
this.
new, Jim got COVID. Well, he was exploring the world. I think that was
Yes.
the last thing we talked about on stream, wasn't it? Was your trip to Spain or Italy? Where was it?
Yeah, we went to France, went to Paris, and then Spain. Yeah, I'm thinking that's where it came from because a lot of my family also got COVID at the same time. But surprisingly, I got hit the hardest with it. Oddly
I thought
enough.
of a funny meme. Now that you
Mhm.
haven't died, I can do it.
Yes.
When you first got to Paris, you posted, it was like a picture of you holding a baguette.
I
And I was gonna take the baguette and just put a bunch of coronavirus particles all over it. You're like, "Where's
Welcome.
baguette, boy?" Full of corona. But no.
Yes, that's where you got it
But
from.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
But you don't. You're feeling good. You don't think you got the long COVID, or as they say, that sort of
No.
strange development that they go on.
Yeah, well, there was my phlegm was like bright yellow for a couple days after, so I was worried like, oh shit. But Miranda is still a little bit sick. She also got it, unfortunately. Hers wasn't nearly as bad as mine. I almost died. Everyone else's was not nearly as bad as mine. I had it the worst by far. No, fuck it. No, but we all had different symptoms. So I had really bad body aches. I wasn't expecting that. Like we had driven up to we went to drive to another city to go to go to an appointment together, and when we got back on the drive there, I started feeling like, oh shit, like I don't feel that well. And I when I got home, like it felt like I got hit by a truck. It felt like I did like 100 deadlifts or like worked out really, really hard and then didn't eat any protein for like a week after. Like that's what it felt like. It was a really weird feeling. Like it's just I was broken down. And then that only lasted for 24 hours. And then the head cold started. And then after that, the coughing and the phlegm started. And it was a rough 3 or 4 days. But yeah, I got through it. So, um, yeah, just be healthy, I guess. And hopefully that's enough. But yeah, would not recommend it. Would not recommend anyone
You would
get
recommend
COVID.
COVID? No,
No.
no.
Yeah.
That's non-boosted symptoms. Or non-boosted symptoms. So, don't know. We don't know what kind of experience a person who's got the regular boosts have of COVID. But I mean, like it seems, not that I've, I guess, talked to too many people. Well, I guess all the people that have gotten COVID have had that I've known have had the boosters. I guess with the exception of you, everyone else has like gotten them. So I'm like, I don't know. Again, they say it's a bad flu. From your story, it seems like you got a little bit worse than out of the people that I know. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that could be a testament to the vaccine boosters. But I mean,
Well, I mean,
well, we don't want to get too much into the vaccines. We got what, 4 videos on COVID misinformation on the Spotify with
yeah, yeah.
exposed.
We bring
Maybe
it
we'll
up.
digress from
Yeah.
any conversation about the vaccine, but that's just the facts of the story. Got Jim survived without the boosters, so it's not completely fatal. There is hope for young people. Maybe Joe Rogan
Yeah.
wasn't so wrong.
I didn't have
Anyway,
ivermectin or an IV drop of like 40,000 IU of D3 going through my veins. So I didn't get over it in a day like he did, but I got over it nonetheless. So yeah, it was just like a bad cold essentially. But yeah, so we're here now. But in the meantime, while I was dying, Elden Ring got Game of the Year, I guess. So that's the background. If anyone watching, you can see the Elden Ring background. But
yes,
as a dessert, and that kid came up, and that's all. It's kind of terrible. That's
right,
the
yeah.
meme is all anyone knows about. Like,
Yeah. He memed it. I see he's streaming now. He's riding the popularity of the act. I don't know, like, so the Game Awards, I think the nominations and like who gets the awards, as long as that stays sacred, it's all a meme to me anyways. So I'm not super disappointed that this kid made a mockery. I mean, I think the From Software team definitely did not deserve to have their moment like squandered. So if there's anything, it's just out of respect for that specific team. But if it was like, I don't know, I didn't play God of War, so I don't have the same feelings towards that team. So I don't know. I'm just all over the place with how I feel about that meme. Overall, he probably shouldn't
Hmm.
have did it. Honestly, not that funny. I think what's the most funny about it is that it was pulled off. It's just one of those like, oh my God, like it's kind of just a joke on security, really. It's like I can't believe that
He was
this
standing up there with them like the whole time.
yeah,
That's what I thought
clapping
was
and
funny.
clapping.
I was like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um
yeah.
yeah. And a good head of hair on
Mm.
that kid. Nice thick head of hair.
Mm.
Again,
Good,
let's see, he's
good,
like
good genes in
16.
that boy.
Good genes in that boy. He's good
Breedable boy.
16. Friggin'.
Yeah.
Robbed by Bill Clinton. And you look
Mhm.
forward to, whatever shenanigans, I guess, that comes of that.
Yeah.
Mm. But
Yes.
Elden Ring, everything except for the music I saw. I watched like
Mm.
um Some Ordinary Gamers, like another Canadian YouTuber.
Mm.
Which I don't know. I God of War's music. I guess I watched it. I watched Jacksepticeye's playthrough of it along with Mel. So you've got him kind of talking over it. So the music wasn't really like I didn't get to really the time to appreciate it. I liked Elden Ring's music. I was gonna make the point that they went to the extent of putting like a secret Latin song sung by these bat people in, and I was like, come on, boys, this got to be best music. But it's only a couple lines, I guess, repeated, so it wasn't really a crazy intricate thing. But I mean, still
Yeah.
great game, great music, both great games, both great music. And so I think that's
Yeah.
cool.
Both,
Cool that it
both,
won.
both
Where it
deserving.
won.
I felt like the
Mm.
God of War. I saw a friend of ours play it. I mean, it's beautiful. It's like a movie. I think Elden Ring, like that God of War game, was probably in the last like 3 or 4 years a great game. But Elden Ring, I felt was easily the best game in the last decade. Like I don't think personally, I don't really think there's any debate for that. I think it really knocked it into the park because it brought so many people in from other genres. Like even someone like me, who was not a Souls like player, came into that game and was obsessed with it. So like that is a hallmark of an amazing game. Um, so yeah, it was well deserved. It was deserving of more than that, honestly. I think like it's yeah, it's a game I need to get back to. Like we just beat it, but I didn't really go through it enough. I really wanted to explore it more. Um, but I feel like they just did a DLC for it, like an arena DLC for people that are doing PvP. They kind of made it
I
more
haven't even
accessible.
tried it yet, actually.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
just been stuck on Dragonflight, but
mm,
and I wasn't huge in the
yeah.
PvP anyways, so I wasn't like super excited. It's one of those things
No,
that those DLCs are always there. Like
mm,
they talk about Elden Ring losing its community or whatever after like it's like it doesn't really affect if you play the game. The game's hard enough without the PvP challenge, so like it's
mm,
challenging enough without like the PvP added difficulty. So like you get your money's worth whenever you play that game.
yeah,
20 years down the road. I mean, 20 years will be deep dive, but years
mm,
down the road, you pick up Elden Ring and be like, "Fuck, this is a good game. Good
yeah,
game. It's time." Yeah,
yeah, yeah. The PvP
yeah.
was always frustrating. The PvP in the Souls games was just always a meme. I felt like anyway, like it wasn't really like something you'd like invest like 100 hours into learning. It's like, oh fuck, you got me. Like you got me, you invaded my world and got me. Okay, bud, here's your prize. Like nothing.
Mm.
I don't know, but you get something in Elden Ring. I think you get like I forget what the currency is, but yeah, I don't know. It's not like World of Warcraft where you have like serious competitive PvP, but yeah.
Yeah. They got some streamers that's like what they do, I guess, because it is like the end game, I suppose, of it.
Mm,
But yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I always used to just like make a new character. I like the speed running. That's kind of like my end game. I guess like I'm not super competitive in PvP. Like I mean, but with the internet, cope excuses. I just don't. Okay, like I just play. the game again with, and I'll do like different starter classes or whatever, and it's they're challenging games to beat through. Like you said, you ran through it the once. I've run through it the once, and
Mm.
I've started games, and I get locked out at that. It's that. What's his name? He's right before the city. He's like on a horse, a dragonkin knight. He's just like a
Oh,
I don't know, he's just a
right.
guy with a hammer on a horse.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of where progression stops for me because
Mm.
if I don't like get a lot of levels to like cushion his difficulty, I can't beat him. He just one shots me. I can't like
Right.
I'm not that I haven't leveled up. I'm not Super Saiyan 2 or whatever it takes to but the Morgat fight is always fun. Um
Yeah.
and I hated it the first time going through that game. I was like, oh my God, we're fighting this guy fuck again. It's like the third time. But now every time I enjoy the fight because like, oh man, he really like yeah, has this sort of like um yeah, this you get a history with him, which is really cool.
Mm.
Yeah. Cinematic and all that. Yeah, it's a great game.
Yeah. No, very well deserving where it is.
Mm.
Dragonflight. So the other new game, I guess, we've been playing recently was the new
World of Spyro.
World of Spiralcraft. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a meme that I sent Leaky a video of. There's this new mechanic in Dragonflight where you ride on dragons, and it's this kind of like Guild
Yes.
Wars 2 esque fucking mount system where you glide around and you fly through these rings. There's races. It's literally like Spyro, but I
Yeah.
think I think it's within the bounds of like being like a callback meme to it, kind of. I think it's clearly intentional. Like there's no
Mm.
like that with Blizzard, they don't steal things, they borrow things, right? That's the thing. So,
I think with
uh,
Spyro, it's like it's such an old game now, and its concept is so simple that it's almost like kind of free to whatever. Like all flight course like emulators are gonna be like Spyro is kind of like a flight course emulator, whatever,
hmm,
or booster. It's just a racer that's not on a 2D plane on a racetrack. Like so, like you could have like a Mario spaceship game come out, and it would basically function like Spyro, with like checkpoints that you have to get to and obstacles and stuff like that. So it's like
hmm,
yes, it's 100% Spyro, and it saved WoW. It's absolutely saved it because like I was talking about this when was it? Um it was like I was talking about like why I love druids, and it's because you have that like wild charge where you can like jump, and it makes your moving like interactive. It's something like you can do
hmm,
to stay active while you're like, flying around, and dragon riding is that. So you have, and I gotta be careful with this word because I can't get my mouth open. But it's V gore. You got V gores.
Vigor.
Like you got
Yeah, there
little
you go.
energy pouches. You get so many. You get six of them, right? And you
Hmm,
can use them. And then at top speed they recharge. So this is like akin to like Epona on Zelda or any other kind of like racing mini game or
hmm,
whatever. And then yeah, so and you have it from the start of the expansion onward.
hmm.
So you pick up tokens and stuff to level up and increase your abilities on it and stuff like that. But enough of the technicals. Why is it good? Because it gave us an extremely quick leveling experience. Jim, wouldn't you
Hmm.
agree?
Oh yeah, I played
From
the only version of WoW I haven't played is vanilla. So I played BC Wrath, Cataclysm Mists, Draenor, Legion, Shadowlands, Dragonflight. Is there eight? So I played all the expansions, and it's by far the quickest. Like you can level your character, which they communicated. I forgot beforehand that they were essentially going to say the leveling isn't like a huge deal in this one. Um, I felt like it was good personally. Like it's not something. The story isn't really there in this one either, so it's kind of like just a. It wasn't like Legion. Like Legion was one. It was a very powerful story, and you lost a very important character at the beginning of it. So there's like this hype to kind of level through and see what's going on behind the scenes. And this one, it's another like, oh, these guys are back. Let's get them. Like I know it's kind of like Legions too, but this is kind of like a, I don't know. So people just want to get the fucking end game. So I enjoyed it. What did you think of it though? Because this was your first like expansion launch, I guess, with WoW.
Yeah. Well, I buckled in because leveling through Shadowlands took like, 16 hours or something for me,
Yeah.
or 50 to 60, and then I get in and within like I don't even know how long. It's like I've gone up 3 levels, and it's like, well, it's got to slow down at some point, and then just hit 70 basically in one. Was it one sitting?
I think so. I think you did. Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
I know. I
Yeah.
stayed up all night because I was just like, because it was good.
Yeah.
The zones. I love the zones. We can talk about the zones when we get into like dungeons and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it was super cool. So I was surprised with how quickly I like went through the leveling experience. But then you start to realize that the questing experience is now connected to this like thing Renown, which was in Shadowlands. Is basically like a rep grind with whatever faction. There's like 4 different areas. There's the Waking Shores, the Zorspan, Thaldraszus, and Onahara Plains or something on
Mm.
the Centaurs. And so as your renown raises, you actually unlock quests on the map and stuff.
Mm.
So that is actually, I think, an important change to the way that questing is done. And this is gonna be weird because it's like it's sort of engagement mechanic-y, but it rewards the player with like for focusing their exploits. So it's like if you're like, I want the centaurs to be my friends because they give green dragon skins. I'm gonna do all the centaurs things. You focus your times in on the centaurs. First of all, your leveling experience is gonna be really, really like quick. You're gonna be able to once you finish the centaurs, you're probably gonna be 70, even if you touch none of the other 3 like areas.
Mm.
And then you've got that before anyone else does because your renown is much higher, because of your focus exploit. So
Mm.
I think that's cool. What else do we have here? Oh, right. So we should talk about. I'll quickly mention the world quest got much better. So there was the incorporation of races, which of course you do on your dragon riding or your dragon mounts, your yeah, dragon riding mounts. Um, they give like 500 gold per race. There's 4 of them, and they're like 3.5 days or something on a reset. So you can do them
Mm.
like twice a week, and you can do them on all your alts. So that's where you're gonna get your bulk of just like mindless, do nothing. Here's gold. Um, which it's pretty good. It's like it's what 2,000 gold a character, or 4,000 gold a character a day or a week, I guess.
Mm.
Is what you're looking at base, which is like depending on what characters you get, it's pocket change or it could be some income. But there was a lot of improvements here. So just from the Shadowlands experience and the BFA experience, which I went through, well, farming for BFA and then playing through Shadowlands normally, you would have some quests where it's like, oh, check the anima paracel and like float down the thing. And it's like, okay, you're doing a thing, you're floating down, but it has like nothing to do with the world except for like it has the word anima and it's got a paracel and this guy holds a paracel. It's like that's the world quest that they just gave you to do. It's kind of dumb. There was like the one in Bastion where you're like the Flappy Birds, and it's like, oh yeah. Some of them made sense. It's like train with the
Mm.
aspirants. Like, hey, Mallwalker, beat up the aspirants, show them what to do. Or hey,
Mm.
Mallwalker, I guess even the one with like gather these horns so that you can give them to this like Larian, this line with wings, and then you can do a little race, and that's the daily quest. It's like, what is actually happening? One was like a history lesson we went, but it was kind of stupid. So now it's like you're fishing with the guys that fish, or you're like hunting for the guys that hunt, or um climbing is this new one, which I personally don't like because it gets me going because there's like you get a grip meter, and you got to click the right ones and the button. It's just like it's frustrating, but it's interactive, it's good, and it's on point with like it just makes sense to be something that they would do in the world or maybe need help with.
Mm.
Uh, even something as simple as I've noticed is there's these fishing ones where you just You press the action button, your character throws a harpoon into a fish, and then you just gotta wait for the action button to cool down. You press it, and you'll pull the fish in. And once the fish is on shore, you did it, and you need 5 fish like that, right? Super simple. Anyone can do it. It's stupid and pointless, but it's an interactive thing that's again, it's doing that thing. It's holding the players there. So if there's PvP combat that's going to happen, if there's people that are looking to gather herbs, these people doing the quest currently are not gathering herbs, so they're like, it's bottlenecking that player experience to that location, and then it's giving the reward of a daily quest. And we can talk about whether or not the amount of renown rep you get is worth doing them every day or something like that, or should you only do the gold? Completely up to you. That's kind of like the new thing in this expansion. You
Mm.
can really uh, choose your own path and how you play and level. Like crafting's new. It's redone. It's really big now. I think that's good. Um, but before we get into the dungeons, tanks. The tanks in
Yes.
Dragonflight.
Very broken.
So basically, a bunch of PvP players were fucking salty, and they said Bear had to fucking get nerfed because Bear is too OP, and I was really enjoying Bear playing it, and so now Bear is fucking weak shit in PvP, and I'm all about it. There you go. I
Yeah.
can't
Well, I think 5B1s.
five v
It's
ones.
a little bit unfair.
I lost
Yeah.
an 8v1. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Oh fuck me, I'm losing these 8v1s.
Yeah. People were saying that Blizzard wanted an excuse to put raid bosses in PvP, so they fucking made the bears OP. It wasn't just the bears; it was tanks in general. But the bears were the worst of the culprits, I think, of the
Bears,
survivability.
it did seem pretty bad. I think like
Yeah.
with bears, it seemed like you posted that video there of that guy who plays mage. What did he say?
Mm.
He was like world champion or
He's
something.
Van Rookie. He's one of the
Van
best
Rookie.
mages. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so he was there and
Yeah.
he's saying that the guy who's playing bear is doing everything wrong. Called him a backpedaling bear. He's like he
Mm.
called it 2v1 that like saying he's
Yeah.
unkillable and all this stuff. Now he was saying that he was only pressing Moonfire. I will have to say, okay, he was doing swipes. I saw him swiping. Okay, he was
Well,
swiping,
he was managing his
and
survivability cooldowns too. Like he was
yeah,
playing as a tank, hence the backpedal. So he literally was just a tank that queued up and was playing with glad level fucking people
and
in twos. But
Moonfire has a
yeah,
there's a spec on tank where Moonfire has like it's like a 20% of any of your damage procs a free Moonfire or whatever. So that's why Moonfire was his top damage, just
right, yeah,
because it was just going off for free. And then the brambles and oh my god, the brambles damage is, I guess like it didn't really get nerfed in PvE, which is all I play, so that's
right,
great. I'm fine with that. I mean, it's a shame because I could have used the fucking handicap, right? I could have used the boon, playing PvP, but I'll just figure something out. Just play Feral or
yeah,
Boomkin maybe, or I don't know. Um, but yeah, yeah. So yeah, it was interesting being able to play war mode straight through the expansion, and people just leave me alone. Um, that never happened as Druid. You were always
yeah,
seen as like squishy little leatherware, or as Feral. I was always seen as
yeah,
squishy little leatherware. Anyone with a dick that could swing it was like trying to cut my head off.
yeah.
And bears, literally, people they're doing that thing where it's like I land and they like stop and turn at me and like back up for a second, and I'm just like picking up an herb or something. I'm just like, what's up?
They fuck right off.
See?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was cool.
big
Like
dog.
a amnesty. I was enjoying a nice amnesty of being ganked. And
Yes,
and then after the nerfs, it seemed like it was like it went up a little bit. I mean, I only got attacked like twice, but it just seemed like people were like a little mad at bears, and they were just like kind of targeting bears. They're just like, "Fuck these bears" or
they're
something. Or
hunting you
maybe they had
down.
something to prove, like, "Oh, I'll kill the bears even though they're all beefed up or whatever." I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
No.
know.
Well, we'll
Something to
have to
prove.
try that duel again at some point and see if I can kill you now. 'Cause
Okay.
I didn't even come close to killing you before. It was
Ruins the survivability.
yes. We'll have to try
Very
it.
good. Um, dungeons.
Yes.
Let's see. So, how frequently does WoW use open world instances as dungeons? Is that like really
Never.
common?
No, that's just they
Never?
just started doing that. They did it in BFA, and then I feel like in Shadowlands there really weren't any open world dungeons, were there? Not really. Um, I
Like,
feel like
well,
it may have been the first one was in Draenor though, but
all right.
not to the degree that they are now. Like the new one they have, it's called Onahari Plains or something.
Yeah.
Um, or no, No Crown Salt, I think is what it is. But it's in the Onahari Plains. That's
Yeah.
complete open world. Yeah, that's the biggest one I think they've ever done like that.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I
They
thought it was
actually give you
cool.
your dragons to fly around, and it's pretty
Yeah, no, I mean I never played PvE in WoW usually. I was usually strictly like casual PvP. Um, like open world PvP was more kind of better description, probably what I used to enjoy doing. But I'm enjoying doing dungeons. I've gone through all of them so far, and yeah, Mythic Plus starts in a couple days, 2 days, and or is it tomorrow? Maybe it's tomorrow. I don't know. I thought it was the 12th of December, but I'll have to check on that. But yeah, I've so far I don't know what you've thought of the dungeons. You've done them a little bit more than me, even. But
Yeah, I
I've
like
enjoyed
them.
them.
There's like, was it Brackenwood Hollow or something like that? The Bram something Hollow
Mm,
and the No Cod Offensive or whatever it is. Those two
yeah.
like kind of open areas. Those
Mm,
those ones are the ones that are like made the most lasting impression on me. I don't know
mm,
if it was the bosses or I think I think it was just the zone. It was like grassy and you're fighting gnolls and
mm,
um they were like longer maybe too. So the sort of process of like figuring out what is the most optimal path to take
yeah.
running through this dungeon was like I guess more immersive than
Mm,
with like some of the other ones because with a dungeon that's like um just like your I guess what you would standard typically think of a dungeon with like confined rooms and then like passages between the rooms and yada 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 boss room
mm,
etc. Um, when it comes to like a tank, you have like if you're gonna pull half the room, you have like basically an optimal way that you're gonna do that, and you're probably gonna pull them like backwards into the last door or something, and
mm,
then line of sight the casters so you can get them all in a cluster, right? You're always looking to get all the enemies in a cluster. So in those open zones, it was a lot more challenging to do that because you're like, oh fuck, we don't have that many like ways to line of sight these guys, and how are we gonna cluster these guys? And so your pulls like if you're gonna do bigger pulls, you have to watch out. And like every second enemy had that fucking that hyena cackle that would fear like the entire group and run them into so those open areas were so much more dynamic doing those dungeons. I had a lot more fun, I think, on those ones, but they were all great. I think it was the academy was fucking long, and there's a skip that exists, and I suggest we do the skip every single time. It only skips about
oh,
like 9 enemies, but um like I think you just need a Drakthir because you can like jump and like die and then he reses you on the platform lower or something like that.
hmm.
I don't know if that's an exploit or I think that's an exploit. That's Graham, get out of my water. So we got the two very long dungeons. There was two shorter ones too, like Ruby Pools was quite short. Um, was it the Halls of Inquisition was quite short. That was the first like mythic we did with like the tree guy and then the elemental guy. Oh, and the bird where you throw the balls and the hoops and stuff.
Yeah, that one's kind of fun. Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
thought it was weird. I was like, what's the aesthetic with this? But whatever. That's the Blue Dragon Flight. They're all about like school. The Blue Dragon Flight are scholars, I guess.
Right. Yes.
Um, and what do we have? Okay, so some things that I thought were fun on Mythic that I'd like to talk about. So there was these deadly frogs in I think it is so it's right so if you remember that dungeon, I forget which one it is, but it has that long hallway where the water things will come down the hallway on either side and it'll like knock you back if it hits you, so you gotta keep going on the left and right side of the hallways. Um and you fight like the water elemental there. But right
Right.
before that, there's like these frog bosses and these little tiny frog ads, and there's only like I think there's like maybe a like 18 or 20 of them that drop in total, but if you get 10 stacks of their damage, you just auto die. So I
Mm.
thought that was kind of fun. Um, there was one dungeon. This one is, I think this one was Academy. You had like the wormlings, and if you like, they would fly around, and if you got too close to a wormling, it would pull like all of the elementals and stuff um
Mm.
in the room. People were challenged. That was the only kind of like bump in the road I ever ran into doing pub groups with the Mythics was I don't know. There was of course one time I pulled it because I hesitated, but yeah, that seemed to be a challenge. And then Hailstorm. So in that same dungeon with the frogs, or was it with frogs? It might have been right before the frogs. I don't know. But there's this boss, and she casts this hailstorm, and people are supposed to hide behind like an ice cube thing so they don't get
Mm.
hit by the wave. I can't I can't tell you how much trouble that gave people. I don't know. Just mechanics. It was just memorable mechanic. And the basketball bird there, that was kind of fun. So there's some memorable mechanics in those dungeons. There's a few memorable dungeons. I think challenge wise, none of the bosses were really too crazy. We'll see what happens with the Mythic Pluses. I think
Yeah.
there are some mob packs and some runs, some pulls that are going to be interesting when it takes a lot longer to kill certain packs. Like they're going to have to be broken up, I would assume. But I mean, we'll also see how geared out we get to doing them.
Well, yeah. Well, we'll have to start. We'll use CC with some of these packs. Like I know
Mm,
Mythic Plus, some of the affixes that they give, like the mobs, they essentially become like mini bosses, like the mob packs. So you need to really use like CC properly to manage the packs, and it'll be fun. It'll be interesting. Hopefully rewarding with the gear and whatnot.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's overall so far I think it's really good. The profession thing is definitely like something you could sink a lot of time into. Like
Mm,
I
yeah.
whenever I played, and I haven't played a whole lot this last week, but whenever I've been on, it's usually just been fucking around with the alchemy profession stuff, trying to level that up. So
Mm,
that was usually what I was doing. But yeah, it's it's hard to say. It's so far. I think it has the foundation is definitely better than the Shadowlands.
yeah.
I don't know. It's hard. WoW is so much dependent on your friend group too. I find like how many of you people are playing. Like if you get a good group of people together to go through the content consistently, it'll last a while. But if you're playing a game and none of your friends are playing, like you'll be done within like the first few weeks usually. But we have a pretty good group going right now, so I feel like hopefully we'll be able to stick it out and maybe we get some achievements and stuff, and kind of take it to another level, the Mythic Plus. Try and actually push like higher end PVE content. Maybe do some heroic raids or something at one point once we get geared and enjoy the other.
I've been noticing these weeklies. This in Obsidian Citadel can be a little challenge too. That can honestly be. I mean, I'm down for that being a group activity, just
Mm-hmm.
like on the at the same level of Mythics, because that's how you get the black dragon skins, which everyone wants. I don't even know what the other guy gives because
Mm.
Rathion gives the black dragon skins. So and it's like I feel like if you don't have it, you're just gonna look like a scrub. So
Yeah.
we should probably, I don't know. That could be. I mean, I will accept help from any of our guild members if I'm ever doing that. I don't even think I've done the quest for it. Um, the other thing too, those hunts, the Centaurian, what would we call them? They're like world events, I guess, almost weekly world events. The hunt's kind of neat because they seem to appear like anywheres, but it'll be like I was talking about this before. Like it's a collaboration of like a bunch of quests, like just like standalone quests that like you complete them in a series,
Mm.
and I think you complete them as a group, or maybe you have like so much time to complete the task before it like moves to the next task. But
Mm.
then eventually a boss will spawn, and that will be like the final hunt boss, and that's tagged based off like Alliance and Horde or whatever. Um, so those are fun group activities, and I think that's a way better way to um get people involved in those like long form zone sort of quests. Like before it
Hmm.
was, I think like you had disloyal denizens or whatever. Like the world quest wouldn't be like Maldraxxus defended, but it would be like defeat the powerful foes of Maldraxxus or Revendreth or whatever. And it's like one of the zones, it's like the elite mob zone, and you would just go there. And if you had war mode on, you might fight people, or you just like wait or whatever. But with these ones, it's like the hunt is a limited time. If you don't participate while you're waiting for it to spawn in the next zone, and then you have to participate. And so if you got war mode on, like you're either kind of grouped up for those hunts and sort of almost dominating it, or or it's battle, or you're just not getting it. So like there's no kind of
Hmm.
just waiting around
Yeah.
for your
Oh,
turn on
thank you,
that.
Pat. Pat just gave us a follow there. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And there's those community events with the Tuskars, the walrus people that have you like killing the things that come out of the pot and stuff.
Hmm.
That's normally a chaotic mess. I can't really tell what's going on like during those, but it's all right, Pat. But
Yeah.
and then I don't know what the other one is. Is it Valdrakken Accord that has the other? Because Waking Shores is Obsidian Citadel, the Rathion, or his brother fight. The Azor Span is the Tuskars. Onahara Plains would be the Centaur's Hunt.
Hmm.
I don't know what the Veldrakken's like world quest thing is, but yeah, I'm sure there is. And you know, it's like it's you get renowned mounts dropped and stuff. But yeah, it's like they it is those seem to be more group focused activities, which is nice, right? Like there should be activities that you kind of struggle to do solo that incentivize you to group up. I don't know
Yeah.
about like in Shadowlands, it was pretty mindless. Like maybe early on, because I didn't start doing the world quest till like a little ways in, a couple weeks in or something. Actually, I think I got into Shadowlands late, didn't I?
Yeah. About a week. You're about a week or two
Yeah,
behind, I think. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Hmm.
so it's like you'd go to a world bus and you'd be like, if you're on your own, you'd be like, I'll click the button, group find. You still do that to a point, I guess, with these quests too. But I don't know, it just he was so detached and I guess if you had a guild, if I wasn't a guild, I could have been like, oh, world boss, but you know. The
Hmm.
long form ones too, it's like it's a commitment of time that one person's gonna make. Say it's like a 20-minute thing to do solo, but if it's like a fucking 10-minute thing or 5-minute thing to do like in a group, that's gonna be like, you're gonna see a lot more guilds doing it, and so
Hmm.
promoting that sort of behavior in game, I think is good. I think it's good. It's good. Good
Yes.
addition. I want to see those kind of stay.
It is
Um,
good for it. Yes.
uh, we were talking about the auction house and the or crafting, and then the auction house was the next thing on this. Have you seen this discount ass corrupted blood thing where these people stand by the fucking mailbox in the auction house in Veldraken, and they've got that blue circle on them that jumps from player to player?
Hmm.
They get two of them, and one stands beside the mailbox and one stands by the door in the auction house, and they just stand there and they log in. And so anyone that goes to use the mailbox, they grab it and then they go over to the auction house and they spread it to the people in the auction house. And it doesn't really hurt. It's like I think it's like 12,000 damage over 20 seconds or something like that. I don't know, but
Oh.
it's just so annoying. I never want to step in it, but it's kind of weird.
Oh. That's
It's like,
obnoxious.
Jesus Christ. Do something more productive with the
Anything
time,
people can
please.
do
Go
to.
find herbs and put them on the auction house. Get this
Yeah.
this wraith bark down. Holy shit, it's like 250 for a low quality wraith bark.
Yep. Gotta
Um,
go hunt you down.
oh yes. The work orders. I haven't done any work orders, but I like that they exist. I think that's really cool.
For blacksmiths and stuff. For like on demand
Yeah,
items, I think it makes sense. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 And I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say about the auction house? Like or the crafting or
Well, yeah, like that's what I have done, I guess, in regards to that. If for anyone watching that doesn't know what we're talking about, again, this is in Dragonflight, World of Warcraft, Dragonflight, the new expansion. They revamped the profession system in the game, so you can kind of play the game as a crafter if you so choose to. And then we're just saying, you can fulfill work orders. You can get paid to make things for people, and that's what I did. I did like alchemy. I actually dropped. I had engineering. I leveled it all and spent a bunch of gold, and I realized it was useless again, as it has been for the last couple expansions. And so I went and did alchemy instead, and I leveled that to 100. And yeah, I just been fucking around. It's kind of funny. I mean, it's kind of a meme. Like you experiment with potions, and experimenting it unlocks new potions, but then you can also like randomly craft high quality potions that can sell for a lot. So it's just kind of like lottery you engage in, but then there's a chance that you'll blow up at the alchemist table and it'll leave you with 1 HP. It's like this huge explosion, and then you're locked out of doing it for 2 hours. But there's a chance while you're experimenting you'll get a potion that'll reset the cooldown. So it's this weird kind of like lottery. You're engaged with like, how many times can I do it before I blow up? And then can I get one of these potions before I blow up? It's just fun little game that you're engaged with. I mean, the crafting orders for alchemy are kind of jack shit. But you know, I should comment the multi-crafting in the game though is pretty crazy actually. Like, I think, for instance, I had a proc. There's these elemental potions of power that you can get, which is kind of like your like raid potion, like buff potion that gives you like whatever 500 extra agility for 30 seconds. And typically you get 5 of them. And I had a multi-craft proc and I got 17 of them. And you can actually increase that even further by 50% more. So then that would be another 8. So instead of 5, I'd end up with 25. So like the gold making could turn into something at some point. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I think it gave it more of a dimension. I feel like if you were like a dwarf, like blacksmith, and you loved doing that, and you had this like vanilla character and all these recipes, and it'd be cool to do that and be like, this is the blacksmith guy. Like, you know, I've filled out my whole tree. I've done all, and it gives people an incentive to kind of do the rep grinds, because a lot of the profession points are hid behind rep grinds. So you can just kind of casually play the game and then just make a shitload of money learning all the recipes and playing as a crafter. So I was totally down for that. I think they did a good job of it. My only concern is probably that with the dragon riding and the profession crafting, like those things are fun, but again, that's not why we play World of Warcraft, really. We play World of Warcraft to engage in content, whether it's raiding, Mythic Plus, or PvP. And not seeing any new PvP battlegrounds. I don't think there was a new PvP. There's a new arena, I think. But that's very disappointing. I feel like that they should be investing more time into, again, like just playing the game. Right? We've talked about this before with other like franchises, like Monster Hunter is another franchise we love, and what they'll fucking do is be like, oh, in this one you can ride on a dog. It's like, okay, and it's how you got bugs you can swing from. It's like, okay, well, what are the monsters to hunt?
They fragment their development efforts into like, yeah, here's the main game. We'll make it like a little bit better, and then we have to add something new, which is going to be like spin-off esque of the game. It's like, and it's it in at one hand with Monster Hunter, like I can remember the, not to get too far into Monster, but with these games when this happens, right? You see, like, I remember Soul Calibur, like they just added character creation because like, oh, people like character creation. It's the thing we'll just put in to boon the sales, but like not really a lot of work into like developing what you're actually able to do in the game and stuff like that. Like I think that you were like they altered special abilities and they gave some like rock paper scissors esque type of like fucking engagement in the fights some move you could do. And it just doesn't it, it doesn't say to me that they're confident in the vision of what is good
Mm,
about the game.
yeah.
I can understand that it's like you do want to branch out, you branch out, you want to diversify the your ability to like, or you want to like, have a broader net to cast in the market of like, people. You want to bring in some people who, maybe they don't like dinosaurs and all fucking cutting up monsters and stuff, but they like cats and they like, gathering stuff. So maybe we'll have cats and you can send them on gathering. And so that's basically like what they did in Monster Hunter.
Mm,
Um, and at the start, it was kind of like inspired. It was like, you don't want to spend time gathering all this shit. So we have this little cat slave for you to do it. And everyone was like, perfect, a
mm,
cat slave. I love it. I
yeah.
don't ever want to gather honey or herbs or anything like that. But then eventually they just made it so like you just if you see honey, you can gather it on the go, you're just like and you grab it now. So like that's all gone, but now the cat is still here. And so they're like, "Oh, what do we do with the cat?" And so instead of like just refocusing all the efforts into like developing the hunt and what the hunter has capabilities are,
Right.
they made this like NPC that plays alongside you, and they expanded upon its abilities, and then
Mm,
you have choice of like what it does, but ultimately they can't be too powerful, right? They because it gets really the communities get outraged when this like thing is broken, right? So if the cats are ever more efficient at doing anything than the hunters, it gets nerf cannoned immediately. And so it's like why for something that's never going to it's only gonna hold this little fucking it's like a training wheel thing kind of like that's
mm,
basically what it was, and that's what it eventually was we saw it as. And you get to the
yeah.
point where I think Vigor wasps came out,
Mm,
and
yeah.
and they were
Watch it.
really and they were really
Yeah.
useful. So you just
Yeah.
have the cats with you, anyways.
Yeah.
Um, and it was like the game would if experience the experience would have been better if I never was relying on having those cats there and you just like fighting, and that's kind of what you're getting at with the PvP thing. It's like
Mm,
the developers know that PvP is huge. We talk in Elden Ring, it is the end game, right?
yeah.
It's not something to just be like swept under the rug and be like, now, does it make them a whole lot of money? No, but it it makes I don't, what does it make your community toxic? Maybe it makes your community a little bit more toxic, but it makes the numbers of your community healthy, right? It keeps those healthy numbers, right? And there's a shit ton of stuff. Pet battles, it failed. Okay, fine, it's done. Right? No one likes it. Whatever.
Mm,
But there's a shit ton of stuff to do in WoW. I was at the Dark Moon Fair yesterday. Still, I think it's still up. We're gonna do it after this. It's great. You can you can enjoy this stuff. Now, for the people who've played it years and years and years, the Dark Moon Fair is done. They had all their MOP mounts before the thing, before the revamp, before the increased drop rates.
right.
They farmed, Gladiator and PvP, and they've played all these arenas
Well,
and stuff
some of
for.
them didn't get those drops actually. Since we know some people that didn't
Yeah,
get them, they were still trying. They're still
yeah,
trying, yeah.
yeah. But
But
yeah, so like yeah,
yeah,
it's like it's seen as a third, it's seen as a pillar of play PvP, and so you got
yeah,
PvP, you got like raiding in Mythic, right? Or
yeah.
PvP was it world content, and then Mythic and raiding Mythic,
I
or
guess
how's
well,
it split?
you've got PvP, dungeons, and raiding are the three.
Dungeons and raiding, yeah.
Yeah, are the three main areas. I'll just mention Grim actually opened the thing behind you to the doorway to your kitchen, by the way,
Oh.
while he was on the chair. I just noticed. Oh, there you go. Yeah. But yeah, those were the three pillars. Now it was weird because WoW used to just be. I almost preferred the way it was back in vanilla, where you had like. I've never been a fan of Arena. At least the iteration of Arena we have now, where the PvP was like this open field, like open world battle that happened. And you had some battlegrounds, obviously, but it was cool that it happened out in the world and you'd organize these big fights and there'd be a viable way to get honor. And then you had dungeons were something you could do as well to get some starter gear, and you'd go through the dungeons and there's a lot of different dungeons, and some of them, some to get into some of them was locked behind wrap. So it was this like huge journey you had to go on to unlock stuff to go through it. And then the raids were the same thing, where you had to unlock wrap to get keys to get access to some of these raids. And then once you're in the raids, most of them are huge, like 40-man raid. Now, like there's problems obviously that come with trying to get 40 people together, but you know, I feel like I do like what they've done with it, in that you've got like Mythic Plus is like this competitive arena, and then you got PvP, and then it's a competitive arena, and then you've got raiding, and it's like this competitive arena. But there's an element of it that it sometimes feels like less of an RPG and more of like just like kind of like a Call of Duty-esque, you know what I mean? Like push for like mythic rating or something, or PvP rating, or the original iteration felt more like an RPG where you're slowly kind of getting through the game, and it's an adventure. You guys are on ground mounts. You're running through these territories with these mobs. You're running into other opposing faction members and getting into fights with them, and it was just, I don't know. I definitely still, and like obviously we've gone through Classic WoW, that's come and gone. I didn't play Classic WoW. I didn't at the time. I was working then. I didn't have the time to dedicate to No Life It. But I feel like with these new systems, and we have this new trifecta that's come out of like different ways people can play the game. As good as it is, I still feel like it does need to be called back a bit to its roots of like an RPG, of an MMORPG, because I do kind of get the feeling that like the end game is like, okay, I'm going to sit in Group Finder when I'm not with you guys, and I'm going to find a Mythic Plus group, and then I'm going to fly to the dungeon, do it, then I'm done. Now what? Back in the city. And it's like, I don't know. I still feel, as good as Dragonflight is, and it is good, and I don't like really giving things ratings, I would just say that it's a good expansion. We still need a WoW 2. We still need a reset on the series desperately. And I hope that the team realizes that, or maybe even just a different path that diverges away from the, and I don't want to like remove high-end content from the game, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. But this is coming from someone who loves like Elder Scrolls-esque like open world RPGs, where I'm not really in competition with anybody for things. Like I'm just kind of out exploring the world and enjoying it. And I don't know, Classic had the element of like extreme like players, right? That will like every week we get together and we clear the raid, as opposed to like, you know, there'd be other groups where they take some 3 months to clear the raid, right? But they're still trying to get through. So that was like your separation of like, these are your elite players who successfully clear it. These are your kind of amateur players that attempt to clear it every week, right? But yeah, they need to find a better system, I feel. Like, again, even with the leveling and rushing to the end game, as fun as that is, it's like the journey kind of gets lost a little bit. Like it doesn't feel as much of like a journey. And I think that is kind of a problem. This is, I guess, my critique of Dragonflight. That's my critique, I guess, that I feel like it doesn't feel as much of like a journey. It felt more like a pyro simulator that you flew to the end game in, and the end game really doesn't look a whole lot different than it has for the last like 3 expansions. Kind of the same deal. Classes play a little bit differently. Professional system's a bit better. You can zoom around, that's fun. But at the end of the day, like, what's really memorable are like those moments of you guys like going out. I always felt like open world adventure like content, where you're kind of on an adventure doing something, engaged with larger groups of other players, whether in combat or just in taking something down. And I don't know. And I'll finish off just saying, I think flying is part of the problem. I think flying ruined WoW. Now, like my opinion on that, like what's ruined WoW? Flying ruined WoW. Is it cool? Yeah. It probably should have just stayed in Outland, but I feel like flying did kind of ruin the game a little bit. That's my
Change
take.
it irreparably. um, yeah, it's like the so what flying does is it breaks down those bottleneck channels
Hmm.
um to almost to the point where they don't really work anymore. So like
Hmm.
your idea is like you know not to rehash it, but yeah, you want your character there, 5 minutes. But if they can fly to everything in 30 seconds, you have exactly a 5 minute window to engage with that player, and you have to be flying there yourself, and sort of thing. So, um, you also can't sort of like really post up, like you post up on the quest. That's basically what happens. You have to either come upon the player to engage with them or world PvP, or post up on the quest. Not even with just PvP, just even for looking for a group that's not group finder,
Hmm.
like being like, hey man, let's group up, do this thing. You have to be there when they're there. Um, you won't see them on the road there. Like the only time you see that, and actually when I was doing the MOP grinds, you would notice because you'd be on Galleon. Galleon would pop up, everyone would incinerate them, and then everyone
Hmm.
would jump on their mounts and they'd fly off to the Shaw. And you'd all be flying the same way. Every tune in the goddamn
Hmm.
world would be flying the same path, directly straight to the Shaw, over the mountain and then down. And it was so interesting because it's like a flock of characters. It's like, wow, you never
Hmm.
see this with flying. So if there was some sort of thing where flying could be like Dragon Ryan could do it. Right now there is this thing in a like Obsidian Citadel or whatever, where if you're flying over there, it's like, oh, these boys are gonna shoot you down, either land or run away, right? So you could have certain storms happen in certain areas where it's
Hmm.
like you fly for maybe like two, like you can't fly for more than like one bump or one jump or whatever, and then you get like lightninged down or something like that. Or like as you fly you take damage. Or like as you fly you just get randomly thrown around and it's so volatile, and sometimes like you can fall off your thing. So it's like really deterring flying in certain zones, and then have timed events. And then what that would could do is could simulate that sort of everyone rushing to the thing. But then, of course, it's like how diverse can that specific event be, right? I mean, just looking at Dragonflight, they did four
Hmm.
areas. So if in the Waking Shores it's volcanic eruptions, soot and ash, and if Azor Span it's a blizzard, and in Valdrakken it's fucking bugs, and
Hmm.
in Hara Plains it's spears or something, I don't know, uh,
Yeah.
or just fog or whatever, and stuff like that. Actually, fog could be good too. Minimap fog, but I don't know if you'd ever be able to stop someone. No, because you
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to disable the map or whatever.
I mean,
I guess if you like completely, if you blacked out the map, that would be maybe annoying, but yes, yeah, but yeah, I hear what you're saying, because flying does, it is one of those like it makes the game seem more antisocial. It facilitates um access to certain areas. So you could even like as a druid, you can sneak in and out pretty quick, turn into a birdie, and then friggin' uh prowling.
right.
Birdie,
Yeah.
prowl, touch the thing, and night elf, fucking mend,
Yeah.
prowl, go, touch the thing. Anyone around? No, prowl. Fucking an entire raid
Right.
group could be like could be camping a world quest, and as a druid with flying, you could probably get in, get out relatively unscathed, with
Yeah.
patience.
Yeah.
Um,
It definitely it made the world feel, yeah, smaller and more, a little more sparse. Like I was gonna bring up, probably one of my greatest memories in the game was probably at the end of Lich King. So Cataclysm was about to come out. Everybody was rushing to do this quest where you had to kill all of the enemy faction leaders. So you get this giant raid group together, so 40 people, but there would be a couple groups usually that would go in. So there was a lot of fucking people. Like there was 80 plus people potentially in these groups, maybe even 100. And you would take the boat over, I think we took the boat from the wetlands over to like Meniful Harbor or whatever, and we ran to the oh my god, the Torrin main, the main city, the Torrin main city. Oh my fucking my it escapes my mind right now, but it was like this giant group of Alliance players on a PvP server, all like running together, this huge group on the road, like make way, like you run across a couple horde players leveling, just boom, just erase them, they get lost in the fucking mass of people, and there'd be this giant raid group just running to oh, like was Highbound, fuck. Through Mulgore or whatever the Torrent city's called again, I forget. I'm an Alliance player, and we'd run up, and then we'd run into the city, and on the in the Torrent part in this map, you you have to take a lift to get up. So there'd be like so many people stuffed on this lift, and you have to wait because you wouldn't all really fit on, and you would just all arrive, and there's an auction house right there in the Torrent main city, and then you just see all these Alliance players just get off the lift and just kill all the NPCs, and you just like flood through almost like a zombie like horde, like to the Torrent chieftain, and you'd kill him. And it was like a raid fight. Like it took a little while to kill him, and you'd be engaged in combat with other players. The Orgrimmar one was a nightmare because Orgrimmar was the hub city, right? When in Lich King it was in Dalaran, but everyone was in Orgrimmar at this time because Cataclysm was about to come out, and it was like a full city of people, and then you have like a full raid group come in, and then you're down to like 2 FPS, and this massive fight ensues because the raid boss is right in the center of Orgrimmar, right where the auction house is. And it's just this massive fucking fight. That one, I remember, I died multiple times. I was a boomkin. And I just remember, just fucking, Moonfire, fucking Sunfire and everybody. And it just, typhooning people off the fucking auction house. Like, I was just like, oh, it was so ridiculous. It was so much fun. And like just that trek to through Mulgore up through Orgrimmar, like it was so good. And then where was the other one? There's the Mulgore, there's the Orgrimmar's the head city, there's Undercity was the other one, and then where was the fourth city? I'm trying to think. What is the fourth city? I don't. Maybe there was no. There was a fourth one. I can't remember what it was though. Anyway,
The Blood Elf one, is it?
no, there's a Blood Elf. There's the Goblin one, but that wasn't there then. That's before the Goblins. There's the Trolls, but they were kind of in Orgrimmar. So I feel like maybe there was only 3. I can't remember though. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, and then they did the same thing with the Alliance. You'd have them come in, and I think it was Varian Rain at that time. They'd run in the Stormwind, they'd just be at the auction house, and there'd be this huge raid group running in. It was cool because like both factions were essentially attacking the other factions, and there was some big incentive because you get a special mount, you get a bear mount, and it was really cool. And it was before flying got introduced in the main world, so everyone was on the ground, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So I miss that. I miss that kind of shit. But we won't be going back to that unless there's like a WoW 2. So,
Yeah, player traffic is definitely like really altered when flying gets released. I can remember like Shadowlands. That was the only time I actually saw it in action. But it's like the day it came out, nobody. Like just nobody. Now it's the start of the expansion, so they're all doing like dungeons. It was like what, season 4 or something. I forget what it was, but just nobody on the ground. Nobody around the Aspirant's Rest. Not a single person. Normally the Gank City on the Aspirant's Rest. Not a single person there. Again, nobody on the roads. Like you could just like, so people will just naturally follow roads if there's roads. So you would just see somebody, right? At all. You would guaranteed, no matter what you were doing. You would see the guys with like the Herb Finder add-ons. They'd be running the deer, right? And they the Tauren deer, they would be running this, that way, whatever. They kind of blank them out because you're like, they're almost like, it's almost like bot-like behavior. So they're not running on the roads. But if someone was going to somewhere, so someone was leveling, basically using the roads because that was how they find. So, and that like gives you an immersive like feel to the whole thing that yeah definitely gets lost in flying because you just your roads. So if you could see players 10 miles away, you might feel better with like
Yeah,
the flying because you could literally be like, "Oh, I can see everyone flying." But the issue is they become virtually invisible. Um, like, and no matter where you go, right? Because no one's like flying slower, everyone's flying at the same speed. And that's actually even with the dragon riding, I've kind of noticed. It's like you do like you still see people because there's certain quests they funnel the traffic into certain quest areas and stuff and with the renown too, that's another thing where quests unlock as renown increases, the areas are not so easily rendered like obsolete or whatever. So everyone's kind of coming back to that area daily. So they're working on that with the traffic, but the immersive element of like seeing a bunch of people is definitely kind of broken down. And now we can say in Valdrakken, you know, there's people there every day because it's a shared city. I think that's good. I like that the Horde and the Alliance are all in the same thing. I like that there's a new city in the auction house, hired a Stormwind, and that's great. Um, but if we can we can move into another thing, another issue that we talked about this before in the other one, but so well, first of all, the customization of the dragon riding mounts. Um, oh, actually, I guess in the transmog thing. I think transmog, old transmog, the value is down. No one's buying anything, but I'll digress from that because we'll talk about the mounts. How damaged is the mount scene right now? Because when I look across Feldraken, I see transmog mount, blue dragon riding Drake, red dragon riding Drake, yellow dragon riding Drake, blue, red. Occasionally, I'll see the blue with the black skin. Transmog mounts. Nobody's on anything different, right? It's
mm,
great. They're all diverse. I was saying to Will, it's like maybe, in a couple weeks or months or whatever, everyone will have unlocked a certain renown and they will have a non-standard color palette for their dragon riding mount. So we will no longer see red proto drakes everywheres or, blue highland drakes everywheres. We'll see yellow highland drakes. We'll see green ones. We'll see, black proto drakes. That would be cool. We'll see the gladiator mounts. We'll see the gladiator full transformation. We'll see the storm drake thing full transformation. I imagine that's from rating or mythic or something. Um, and it's really destroyed the diversity of that like sort of AFK mount scene. Um, Maybe it will die down when, people have completed all the content and they're just waiting for dungeons and Valdrak and they'll sit on the mounts that they prefer. But because Dragon Riding is so integral to this expansion, it's like you just or are almost never going to get on that rare, Onyx Cloud Serpent that you sat 50 plus hours looking at a dead Shaw of Anger to get, right? Like you'll never really sit on that unless you're training a character or whatever. Um, and with that, like it feels to me, and again, time will tell uh, if this issue sort of dissipates and things go back to the regular form. But even Brendan said the other day, he's like he wants dragon flying in the old world. Everyone wants dragon flying in the old world.
yeah, yeah.
The ar- the
It's
argument is, will we use the other mounts? And I'm starting to think that no, we won't. So
it's a
how does it work?
problem.
Does it not
Well,
work?
it's weird because it's the same problem when they introduced flying, right?
Mm,
When they introduced flying in Burning Crusade, people were like, "Oh, like we can't go back to like not having this," right?
mm,
And like people complained about that all through Wrath of the Lich King. that they couldn't fly in the old world. They're like, why can't we fly in the old world? Like no one was really thinking. Like I was saying the same thing. I'm like, oh yeah, like it'd be really cool. Like, and when Cataclysm came out, like it was cool. They did a really good job. The zones in Cataclysm, although some people hated the expansion, were really fucking great. Like Old Dumon or the Egyptian one was dope. What was the other one they redid? Like they did a good job making that zone in particular really cool to fly through. But it was just a bad idea. And again, like, is this cool in World of Warcraft? Like, yeah, it is. It's a better way to travel, undoubtedly. But yeah, then like how you just kind of lock that in this one area. Like this is just like to me
Mm.
that almost removes the incentive to like give a shit about doing anything with the dragon ride. And you can't even use the dragon riding mounts back in the old world, just as regular mounts. So
Mm.
it's like why do I really care about it? Like, really? All
I
right,
mean, well, it's fun. It's really
well,
fun.
it's no, like the act of it is fun, but I mean like
Yeah.
unlocking all the stuff for the actual mount. I mean, I guess it's gonna be
Oh, you mean
cool.
like the cosmetics?
The cosmetics,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they've really just that's everything everything cosmetic is kind of just like extra stuff now. Like um I've been like I looked through them because you get the preview, right? There's a couple of like all I think it's only the colors, honestly. Like I've gotten a bunch. A little pro tip here. If you have a bunch of alts and you are doing the races, they can drop customization parts. So I've gotten a lot from just doing races on alts, and it's all like cross characters. So
Mm,
if you're farming gold that way, you will get like world drops and stuff with those. I don't know like what rare ones are, but like a lot of them, like there are quest reward ones and all that, and like yeah, it is. It's like where am I with it? It's definitely not enough. Like I think so. I think with the dragon riding mounts right now, they're not diverse enough to be the end all of mounts. Like they can't. There's not enough there for them to replace the old flying mounts, right? For sure. There are definitely
mm,
some old flying mounts that like there's that like it's like a brain and it's got like tentacles or whatever. Like
mm.
that one is not gonna be dragon riding. Like he's not gonna you're not gonna see him go maybe
Right.
maybe you be on the front of him like and he's like flying like flying through the air or something. But that model doesn't look like it's gonna work with dragon riding. So and then a lot of the models look like if you were going to give them the ability to do dragon riding, you would kind of want to update them. And that's like a huge thing. Um, so if these mounts are going to dominate the mount scene, we're going to need like it's almost going to be like yeah, I would like to see more of them. Like you get different models and stuff, but I mean I want one of those like Chinese style dragon, like Shenron serpent style dragon ones. I'd like to
Yeah.
dragon ride on one of those. I think that'd be cool to
Yeah, that'd be
customize
dope.
something like that.
Well, there is
Saddles, like
one.
new saddle,
Yeah.
like they can expand upon it too, but it's like you're the more they expand upon it and the more they make these mounts like accessible, and if they do add them in the main world, which everyone wants, it's like we are cutting the balls off of all of these mount farmers like immediately, and that's really hurting like because that like you get your pillars of play, but then like there's so many different ways which you can engage in the game, and mount farming is one of the like top like things up there that people do other than like the main like just engaging in the three
Mm,
pillars. Like that's the side project, like alpha side project of like the thing. Then there's like auction house stuff. Now there's a crafting. They want to make that one. You've got like transmog farm and variety farms. All those sort of things. But mount farming is like the biggest like prestige um thing that people partake in. And if all of a sudden these dragon riding mounts, like a new player comes into WoW, they're not going to give a shit about any of those mounts. They can't dragon ride. But when they go to the old content, they're going to realize I can't use my dragon riding mount. So I don't want to do the old content. I like dragon riding. So where's like that's going to be a weird thing to like reconcile. How do you if you're bringing people in, if you're introducing cats to the game and dragon riding, right?
Yeah.
You're bringing people in because they like cats. Well, you're gonna have to keep the fucking cats around, even even though there's like all these problems with you. And then so now we have the fracturing of the developmental process, and so now all this. Now I do like dragon riding. If they got rid of normal flying and every flying all flying became dragon riding and all mounts like got dragon riding, I'd be down for that. I think that'd be really cool. I think that's probably maybe best of like the thing they could do with it. Um, Given that like it does exist, you can't go back on it now. I think like the worst thing to do is to not
Uh,
is to I guess like sleep on the ability to customize these bad boys and keep releasing models. Um,
yeah. Well, they do have a model. I was trying to get it up here. They do
yeah,
have a
there's that
new.
like secret one or
It's a
whatever.
Slither Drake. Yeah, that doesn't, and it is off of the Pandarian dragon model.
Okay,
Um,
nice.
so yeah, it's kind of cool. But
We sick.
yeah,
We
yeah,
sick.
I don't know. I mean,
Um,
yes. Well, what
the other
else?
thing
Yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
mentioning to you about the ground mounts, like what they could do is they could add a energy point system with ground mounts too. So instead of like dragon riding, it would be like maybe you like the next expansion is tigers or something, and like you get a tiger, and it's like tiger riding, and so anyways, you just have a ground mount thing that has like a double jump or something, and maybe a glide or a ground mount with a glide or
Yeah.
what's oh yeah, stealth on the mount, that sort of thing. Like introduce like new mounts with that. That could be sort of a next, almost like a what do you call it? Not spin-off, but it can almost be just Dragonflight update. It wouldn't even need to be a whole new expansion, but I mean, that's one direction I think they could go with it. But I mean, that does uh still leave the question is like we'll wait to see what the raids are like before we talk about that. But it's like is this dungeon design going to continue along the lines of being like innovative? It's good. Like you get the one dungeon where you can fly in the dragons there, whatever it's called again. No cod offensive. It's good.
Yeah.
I like it. But yeah, it does the group finder still exists, and so it's not exactly a community driven uh activity. But yeah,
Mm.
I don't know. Community driven activities, yeah. Fucking
Maybe
yeah,
AI will.
spice it up.
Maybe AI
Yeah.
will
Add in
get it better for us.
AI in the NPCs. Make all the
There you go.
NPCs just act like normal people, and
There you go.
then you won't have to actually have friends to play the game. You just talk to the NPCs and have a chat bot in every NPC. That would be full immersion right there.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's what else we're going to talk about on this
The
episode, I
NPC,
guess.
the
Yeah.
AI can take the job of your friends.
Well, I don't know. Like, I keep seeing. I've been slowly watching the AI art evolve. Still, like, just casually, I'll see it pop up, and they've got it pretty honed in now.
Yeah.
Like, they're training this AI art on themselves, which is funny. Not so funny training on like your mom or someone else. You know what I mean? Like it's like we were going to mention this because there's a video you sent about a guy talking about how people are just starting to realize now the impact this might have,
Mm,
right, on everything. And I think it was
yeah.
like what was it again? It wasn't a 3D printing. It was like some kind of marketing thing. What was it? I forget what he said exactly. What sector he was working in, but they realized that the AI art could like literally do what they were doing better than them, and that they were like, well, we're done. Like we're done. We're not going to have a job. Like literally. What was it? Do you remember what it was?
Um, I don't know. I can remember them talking something about like when the AI is trained, it's trained on images that artists have already made. So, all right. So, but that guy was actually against that. He was saying no, it is fair use, but fuck, I don't know. I have to rewatch it here again. But Yeah, I don't know. It's just I think he was just saying that they're coming. You know, the AI is fucking coming.
It's coming,
Coming.
like, for instance, for people that work in marketing, and like they're going to be the guys that like make an original background for you, or they're gonna put a campaign up for you. Like they can now, they'll still be the ones using the tech, but like the AI very soon will start to, because I mean you can make the argument that all it's doing is using pre-existing images, but like what the human mind is doing when you're making something, like you're pulling from influences. And now that's a hell of a statement, because I'm not necessarily implying there is no such thing as an original thing, but there's a lot of influence there. And I think the act of the artist prompting the art is that same kind of prompt an artist would have, pulling in their mind from all the training they have in a specific area. So effectively, it's kind of it isn't really just pulling from a bunch of original. It's creating its own unique shit. The scenarios, it's, and we just got to the point as a culture, like we've got so much stuff on the internet to pull from, like it's infinite. It's almost more than our mind would pull from in making an original thing, honestly. Especially if you're training it on a colossal data set. Like some of these data sets already probably have as many or more images that I've ever fucking seen in my life in them, right? So then it's if the person prompting it correctly, it's gonna be able to produce something that I would probably argue is original art. So then these people working in some of these jobs, and we forget precisely what this guy was working in, but he made quite clear that it will make what he's doing, like he will not have a job, like now, like it's already gotten to that point now. So
I remember what, or I just watched it.
mm,
He said that we need to address. Now he's a little schwabby here. You know, he said we need to address the lack of the social safety net that exists.
yes, yeah,
He
yeah,
says the real problem is not that there's a miracles machine being created. The real problem is that when this miracle machine gets created, we're just like, oh, I guess it's taking everyone's job. Like, I guess we don't need these people anymore. Bye, find something else to do.
yeah. Right.
And it's like technology. I guess he's saying the issue is not that technology is just advancing. It's that like we're not like foreseeing that it will damage the positions of people that we rely on for the content that the technology is making exceedingly more efficient. So yeah, and that's just I guess like just an inconsiderate thing of how inconsiderate of us. I mean,
Yes, but I
yeah.
think too it's like he was implying that, yeah, we need a social safety net now, because for instance, like say you're an operator, you're operating something,
Mm.
um, you're operating a plant, you're operating a machine. Assume through automation, like again, much sooner than we might think, you'll just be replaced. So, and it's not to like allude to anybody that is currently an operator, but this has happened in the car manufacturing. We've seen this happen where, you think that you have all this job stability, but then one day your company brings in this new robot, and it's like, well, Rick, we don't need you anymore, bud. And they'll be like, well, what are you talking about? Like, my union's going to protect me. It's like, we don't need the job anymore. You can sweep the floors, but like, we're not going to pay you X salary. We just paid $3 million for this robot to replace all you guys. It's going to pay for itself in like 3 years. See ya. Like that's all they need to do. And like, you know, uh, again, it's like, what kind of a safety net do you have? Like, if you're in any kind of line of work that can be automated, but artists too, right? You were thinking, oh well, I'm a graphic designer. Like, I'm not going to be out of a job. It's like, uh, I don't know. I mean, I hope not. We'll always need people, but there are other designers making what you need quicker and more efficiently with some. Now, but I don't know. I would even say not as precisely, but like again, these guys with these prompts, like, and then the heal, like, so you'll make something and it's a little bit off, and then you can just heal it and run the prompts until in real time it makes, oh, I want that one there. Boom, done. Finished, done. Like boom, 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 boom. Like you got like a couple 3090s in your fucking computer. Boom, 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 boom. It's done. HD, whatever the fuck you want, it's done. Here you go.
Mm.
Like it's already out and done. So, but Elon had brought this up like a couple years ago with the automation, right? Like creating an issue, in that he was trying to argue that we really do need universal basic incomes. And I agree with him that I think people, part of the social contract that we signed here, like we've got social, insurance numbers, we're a part of this society, and, we were born on this plot of land, but we pay our taxes and we have to participate. And we don't really have a choice in that, honestly. We can leave willingly, but like living here, we don't have a choice. So it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, then people should at least have basic needs provided for. But that's complicated because then you get into like, we're technically, supposedly still living in like somewhat of a free market, capitalist society where, having somewhat of a free market and people willing to go in and make things and then get paid for them and push them through the market. And like, if you introduce something like universal basic income, it's kind of counterintuitive to that. And it could have ripple effects and affect the free market in a negative way. And there's a worry for that. And then there's a worry for like, if that will affect innovation, will the young starving artists be as desperate and willing to like make that new song if they're just getting paid, right? Will that make a difference, right? Like if I was just getting paid a living wage, would I do more art or less art? And honestly, it's a hard question. It's hard. That I don't know which way you go with that. I would probably say that you would be inclined theoretically to spend more time doing it. But then the motivation, I don't know if that would help the motivation to really do anything with it if you're already just giving basic needs like, met. But anyway, yeah, it's a concern. I definitely, once when we had talked about this in a couple of these podcasts now, if anybody ever finds these. And, I definitely saw very quickly how much of a problem this could be like ethically. It's some of the images that have been created, but I began to see a problem for our society as well as this progressed along. And I began to see, honestly, the threat that does, and this is something, again, these billionaires like Elon and some of these other intellectuals in the AI sphere were warning about this.
Okay.
Yeah, they were privy to all of this information years ago. Like they were privy to probably some of the early models of like what this AI art is doing now, or at least in their Elon working with Teslas, and he was privy to the automation that's going on in manufacturing, and like how AI is going to make that a quantum leap forward, and that we won't really need people in that process any longer. And he was well aware of how many people are employed in, as operators. And how much of a problem that would be. But then the AI art too is something I don't think they necessarily foresaw, but it's definitely made just as big of an impact, or even greater of an impact, in that now it's not just hitting like the industrial sphere, it's hitting the artistic spheres of humanity. And it's definitely shifting and shaping that landscape very quickly. But where it's going to go, where it's going to go is, it's just going to progressively get more and more advanced. And I don't even know. I mean, it's going to be, it's just going to be interesting, I guess. I would say, so this started probably in August, I think, is when the models first really kind of got it to the public. There was one, I forget what it's even called now. It was Dream Journey or something like that. But when it really kicked off is when Stable Diffusion opened up like all their stuff open source to everybody, and there were no like parental locks on like words. Like it was a free for all. And once that happened, that's when everybody started to get behind the tech and that's when it started to really blow up. So that was probably like in late September, early October, when Stable Diffusion kind of started to blow up, and a lot of these companies started to get behind it because they saw the potential in it. Um, so we've only really been at this now for 2 months, and I'm trying to think. Honestly, though, it's stagnated maybe a little bit. I haven't really followed it since then. We played around with some of the
Well,
AI
actually,
art.
that's why I said I mentioned it for this topic because people have actually started catching on to it. It's really big
Mm.
on TikTok. I guess this company started just being like, "Hey, send us some like if you send us photos, we will like reproduce them in a certain art style or whatever done by AI."
I saw,
And
yeah,
they use like Stable Diffusion stuff like that. So
yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like that being, you know, kind of spreading around has really got the public interested in it. And I mean, they're
Mm.
way behind us. We were we were trying to make Donald Trump sucking dick for
That was day
what,
one, like,
September 2nd. I don't know when it
yeah,
was, but
3 months ago. Yeah, yeah, no, but it was, yeah, but I mean, so I think what this company must do then is say you send them photos of yourself. They train the AI to. They must have like a supercomputer set up. They'll train your face with the AI, and then they'll reproduce you in these like set manners that they've given, like as a prince or as like I've seen a couple people on my social media feed doing this, and yeah, we knew this was happening. I mean, there's a much darker side to it. I mean, they're only training a couple photos. If you train 1,000 photos of somebody you pull off Facebook, you can recreate them like very disturbingly in all kinds of different scenarios. And that's the other side that, I mean, I haven't been following either side of it for the last like month probably, but I feel like it's stagnated, but then again, maybe I'm too out of the loop. I'm not an AI scientist. I can't follow the literature on it and where it's going. But um, yeah, it's I would say probably by in a year it'll be a problem. I'd say probably honestly into the new year, it's probably going to become in the public sphere. They're going to start to pick up that this is a problem. Um, so that's my prediction that the problems are going to start cropping up. We're going to start seeing Donald Trump in compromising positions that have you are indistinguishable from real photos. Like the deep fakery. The deep fakery initially, I think, was like bullshit pulled by maybe people like celebrities, politicians that were found in compromising positions. It's going to be within a year indistinguishable. That which is I don't know how we're going to reckon with that legally. How we're going to reckon with that, like blackmail and stuff. Fuck, it's not going to be fun. I guarantee you, all the intelligence agencies around the world right now, all these motherfuckers looking to get blackmail on people, they're running all their supercomputers on overdrive, just doing everything they can probably to just fuck with people. I know they are. 100% they are. Because right now you could do it. I guarantee you could make indistinguishable photos right now. You can do it. You just need the computer power, right? And really all you need is probably a 30 fucking 90, right? You don't even need a supercomputer. So I don't know. I just want to go live in the woods. But on our point, I guess it might be what we're all doing. Is we might just be and this is a little bit off topic maybe, and I'll shut the fuck up here in a second. But I was watching remote viewing stuff recently, as I have been. I enjoy consuming woo, but there was somebody who this guy was remote viewing the future. He was remote viewing the year 2040, and like something bad happened, and then in 2050 he remote viewed it, and I mean, who the fuck knows if this is legitimate or not, that he did it properly with his team, but he saw that people had pulled back from technology and they pulled way back from globalism. And they were still connected through technology to the wider world, but that they were much more engaged in their daily lives with just kind of surviving, and that things were far more community oriented, like food, for instance. Obviously, if we don't eat, we die, and the whole human experience falls apart. So people, everyone was engaged locally in the growing of food. Um, which I think is great because like that needs to we at some point that has to happen. We have to have like a reorientation of just everything. Like, and I think maybe the AI will just be what does that if we get that level of automation. Like so many of these jobs people do, it's like, and it's great to have the financial freedom to go and buy what you want and get a big TV and whatnot. But
Yeah.
what do
You
you
want
think of
384 gear, you just get the work order done.
that? Fuck yeah, there
We
you
need
go.
a WoW too.
Oh god, yeah,
Need a WoW too.
yeah.
WoW too. World of World of World World of Worldcraft.
World of Warcraft,
World of
World of
Warcraft.
Warcrafting, real world life, real
Yeah.
world, yeah. Well, I mean, it's I don't know. Well, simulation theory, that's what we're in, I guess. We're in the real world of Warcraft, right? Essentially out here, And I hope in the future, though, that we do have basic needs provided for. The society isn't run by psychopaths. Maybe even like just the monetary system is done away with. I mean, this is all some egalitarian dream that's not going to come to fruition probably for like 1,000 years, but that people are allowed, like people's main priority is in being creative. Like in when people go to like what work they do, like probably back to a bit of a simpler life where like we do spend some hours of our day just sustaining ourselves, whether it's through gardening or working with the community to make sure basic needs are provided. But then people have a bit more free time to be creative, to express themselves. And I feel like that would just that would make a better world, and it would like just cascade into an amazing world because everybody would be able to kind of give what, because I do think every individual person has something unique they can give. And I think everything would thrive. The arts, like engineering, physics, even some forms of like business, which might just be more like exchanges at that point of information and goods and whatnot. That would just be a better place. And we can lay off a little bit on the dominating, right, aspects of like people's personalities where they just want to be rich and own people or be better, and I'm rich and you're poor and I beat you, and like all that kind of like monkey brain bullshit can kind of be evolved out of us, and we can kind of just work together in a cohesive unit to create something, to just really again focus on creativity and just really pulling the best of ourselves out into the world. And whatever field that is, whether it's through music or art or poetry or philosophy or physics or again engineering or building things, and just people can just really spend more time honing that and just developing themselves, like almost really developing their soul. You know what I mean? Like instead of just being like, oh, I gotta make money, so I gotta go learn this skill I don't really want to learn, and then fucking sit around all day and get paid by a company, not enough money. Uh, so then I can go home.
Then get replaced before I can make enough for retirement because
That, well,
technology comes in.
yeah, and it will let them delude you to think they're going to pay you. You're going to have a job for the next 20 years, right? When really what they're going to do is they're just going to work on a way to fucking toss you to the curb as soon as possible, which is what they're all thinking of doing anyway, right? Because none of these big corporations are run by people with any fucking like ethics. They're run by accountants, so they're just looking at the bottom line. So what's the best thing to do? Get the AI bot in there. See you, bud. Don't need you pushing buttons anymore. You're fucking gone. Or just like same with the guys, like it was a bit ahead of the curve, but the car manufacturer guys, like Jimmy, we don't need you fucking hammering doors anymore. We get the machine that does all that. Go the fuck home. Well, look at Detroit. Look at having the car fucking manufacturing capital of the world. Still a shithole. Don't mean to offend anybody who lives in Detroit, but like the city still has not really bounced back from the loss of that industry. So we've got all kinds of industries, even, nuclear power and stuff. I mean, all these nuclear engineers are working and operating those plants. I mean, like, if we get that more automated, we won't need people there. We won't need people monitoring these systems. And even if we can progress to the point maybe with AI to unlock some new, more sustainable source of energy, whether that's through fission or fusion, or maybe through some alternative method of woo-woo energy where you're fucking like, perpetual motion machine, I don't fucking know. Then all that shit's gone. I mean, if we were able to get some kind of perpetual motion or Bob Lazar is telling the truth, and there's fucking 115 out in the desert, and we can harness that, then all of that shit gets shut down. All then what happens then? All the power plants, coal plants, all those jobs are all that's all fucking done. It's like, well, then what do you do? Like, that's a lot of fucking people. Those are huge industries. Oil and gas, too. Like, I don't know what that even makes up of the world, but I would think the energy industry probably makes up like fucking, I don't know, I guess like 30% of all jobs. It's just so if you found some kind of effective way to harness some kind of perpetual energy or some kind of more efficient energy, aside from like employing some people to like manage that, through AI and through probably automation, you would just be able to kind of streamline all of that system to where those people would be out wandering with no employment. So then again, it's like, but then, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely, I guess what I'm trying to get at is I would be in favor of like basic human needs being met, like through a universal basic income. That's great. That sounds great, right? But again, the problem is the current global political situation, and I don't trust anybody at the helm of any country to do that properly and not, to have it turn into some fucking communist disaster like what happened in Soviet Russia or Soviet Union. But
Speaking of
yeah,
communism, watch the Pinocchio on Netflix, the new one. It's kind of like
yeah,
darker. It's kind of cool.
yeah.
And I'm remembering like Jordan Peterson's interpretation and all that.
Mm.
Fires that are falling from the belly of the whale. That's no joke. Again,
Mm.
great stuff.
Next
He
thing you
died.
know,
It had this cool dark twist to it where it's like he would die multiple times, and so his life was given to him by this like being. It was like a snake person with four wings, and that it's like really weird. Like you should watch those scenes just to, because I don't even know. Like my interpretation was it was like a coital and a sphinx. So one gives him life, and she's like a goddess that like doesn't care about the rules. And then when he dies, he has to go to this place where he sits with the sphinx until this hourglass runs out, and then he just goes
mm.
back. But at the end, he's like, Geppetto was like drowning or whatever because they fell into the fish, and they say, you got to wait to go back. And he's like, no, I got to go back now. And he's like, well, if you break the rules, then you will be mortal and like you'll die or whatever. And so he's like, I don't
Mm.
care. And he like shatters the hourglass and he goes back, saves Geppetto. And then, my God, how the fuck did it end? I think I was kind of zoned out at the ending. I think she brings him back to life. Spoilers. The like sort of chaotic goddess. And so it was really cool because I had no idea. I didn't think that there was any sort of mysticalness. I mean, I guess outside of the puppet moving around and stuff. It it just dawned on me it was so long since I had seen that Disney's rendition of Pinocchio. And it was such a refreshing sort of thing to see the claymation rendition. And they didn't shy away from all the Nazism either. And they were doing the salutes and they were doing, you know, like all the thing. Like it was historically accurate is what I'm getting at and stuff. Um,
Interesting.
there's one guy who comes. He's like some soldier officer, comes to the door after Pinocchio like sneaks into church, and the whole town knows that Geppetto has this weird like oaken boy, and he comes in. He's like, look at my boy. He's a what did he call him? Well, he used the word fascist as like a good term, and I was like, that is so strange, isn't it? It's just the strangest thing. I mean, I don't know, but I don't know. I thought that was kind of good. I don't know if we should shy away from dark history like that. Like it's
Mm.
one of those things. Like it's weird seeing it in a kids movie, of course. Like, but again, like Pinocchio got like hit by a car and like they were gonna set him on fire and stuff. It was rather dark. I don't know if it would be a children's Pinocchio tale. It was more of a mature Pinocchio tale. But yeah, it was neat. I mean, the writer was Italian and he lived through the era of what was it? Mussolini? I think it was Mussolini. Yeah. Pinocchio actually performs for Mussolini in the thing, but he
so
memes it.
so this is the new one that has Luke Evans as the coachman.
Um,
Luke Evans is the guy that played the guy from The Hobbit, the hawk guy with the hair.
Coach. It's on Netflix. It's the
Yeah.
Pinocchio is like he's just like wood and he's like
Oh,
carved
this
right out
is
of a
this
tree.
this is different. Yeah, there's two Pinocchios. That's weird.
Oh, jeez.
Oh yeah, Ewan McGregor, the talking cricket. Yeah, is this it?
Yeah, there you go.
Is this
I think
fucking it?
maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is the one. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yes.
there's two Pinocchios. There's one that's in like this art style, and there's one that's in another one for 2022. Oh, there's a Tom Hanks Pinocchio that was like fucking terrible, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of, yeah.
Oh, we got
Jesus.
Ron Perlman's in it too. Oh my God. I
Hellboy.
didn't even notice.
Fucking Hellboy.
The Admiral.
How does his nose get back after he lies? He just cuts it off when it gets too long.
They file it down. Yeah. That's actually how he escaped the fish. He just keeps lying. I think that happened in the Disney one too. And then he just like snaps it off and
Fuck
does
it.
whatever. And like, yeah.
Why did
Yes.
Geppetto make a creature that's nose grows when it lies? That's a real question.
I think Jordan Peterson, I forget what his interpretation was. I don't know. If I was gonna guess, I maybe he said something about like for a child, like it's very easy to tell when a child is lying. And it's like so plain, it's as if their nose grows, so it was like a metaphor. Um,
Mm.
yes. I don't know. Yes, I don't
There
know.
was a good synopsis of. I'm trying to think. I don't know where the fuck it even went. Uh, Pinocchio means pine nut in Italian. Um, yeah.
That's
Fuck. It
why
was
there was
something
that
about
H1.
pursuing. What is it? Pinocchio. Pinocchio based on child trafficking. What the fuck? Are they fools, cinnamon? What is their
Yeah, he does kind of get child trafficked, doesn't he? By the
Dear God.
um circus man.
He gets hanged. Oh, this is the original story, I guess. Yes. There was something about telling the truth and, like, being honest, and that you'll find salvation eventually in telling the truth and being, uh, a decent person. Although sometimes in reality, that's not always reality. I mean, sometimes they forget to mention to these children that people don't want to hear the truth sometimes because it makes them uncomfortable. And they don't. Who was it that most people don't want their illusions destroyed? Who had that quote? That's a good fucking quote. Most people don't want their. That's probably the most relevant quote I've had in my life so far. That's Nietzsche. Of course, the man that was driven insane. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. Yes, spoken like someone on the brink of going insane because he was dealing too much with the general public. Yes, that's true. That is so fucking true. And although, like, telling the truth is important, I mean, it depends what kind of truth you're telling. I mean, to just be a truthful person day to day is really important. It's a virtuous quality to have. But to then go and try and enlighten others with the truth. Well, the story of Jesus is that's another classic. Be careful what you try and tell people. You know what I mean? Not everybody wants the truth spread around, and they'll watch you fucking hang there on that cross, and they'll just, long as it means that they get to wake up the next morning and, go back to their routine, and they don't care if a couple people disappear here and there.
You eat pineapple in the winter.
Eating pineapple in the winter, yeah, there you go, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I want those tropical fruits in the winter. Keep the system going. You motherfucker, don't you fuck this up for me. I worked so hard to live like this. You're going to come and ruin it with all your truths? Get the fuck out of here. Yes. Thank God for Nietzsche. The nihilist. The nihilist himself, the man that predicted the rise of fascism, that preceded it. When did he die anyway? Nietzsche. He called it out. And that's he's a good character because he was really, it's real tragic character because, I mean, obviously he clearly struggled with mental illness, but, there was probably one of the more tragically sane people alive at that time, objectively, right? That had like an objective view of the world, like the most sane people, and classically portrayed as being insane, but among the people of his day, the most sane, and really predicted with the most accuracy of any philosopher or thinker, or any academic for that matter, what was going to happen, what everything was leading to. And he died in 1900. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
Armored Core.
Armored Core. Yeah, all about that truth. Yeah. Speaking of video games.
Speaking of video games.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
the truth is that's bound to be a good fucking game.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to love Armored Core. I guess we'll finish this up here. We're just about done. We got like probably 10 minutes
did we
left.
mention Armored Core? Yeah, it was on my sheet. I was like, did we mention that yet?
Yeah, no, we should get off. We don't want to go down another dark, depressing hole like when we got down. I think I got down last night. I get down these rabbit holes of just like the hopelessness. But yeah, no, I loved Armored Core as a kid. Me and my brother used to love playing the series. We played many of them, rented the games and bought them. It's fucking sick game. For anyone who's never played an Armored Core game, you pilot this mech and you it was so creative. Like, it's another game where there's like, okay, here's all these mech parts, put them together, do whatever the fuck you want with it. Like, that was literally how the game was put out. It's like, here's all this stuff, throw it together how you want, and then go out into the world, and there you go. And the customization was insane. Like, all the colors, you could like color every individual piece like uniquely. It was just
no rep grinds involved with getting those colors. You just had a color wheel.
Well, yeah, I know, right?
That you could unlock or something like that, but
I think from like the arena and stuff, yeah. But yeah. I remember because I always loved like melee based like dagger classes, and you'd have this dagger thing, but there was this build in Armored Core where you could get like 2 daggers, and there was a guy. So the Armored Core arena, I forget which one this was in. I think it was Nexus. It was one of them, but the arena was really fucking good, and it was like a ladder you climb. And there was one guy that had these spider legs, and what he would do is he'd pin you in the corner and just start stabbing you, and he'd kill you. And I loved that build, and I did a take on that build. But there was a guy that at the very top, the final guy, and again, I can't remember if this was Nexus or what the iteration of it was, but he would fly up in the air, and what he did, it was a really cool build that they did. So he stripped his mech of like everything. So he didn't have like anything on it, and it was a super light mech. So what it allowed him to do was fly infinitely, like hover. But he had one huge arm cannon on his side still that did like a fuckload of damage, but he stripped it of all the other bare necessities. This is the NPC, like the number one like guy to beat. It was really hard to beat. And what he would do was in the start of the match, he would just fly up to the top of the arena, hover up on the roof, and just shoot down on you with the cannon. And it was so frustrating because most people, you'd get halfway up and then you'd fall down. And like me with my fists, I was like, oh, fuck. So I had to like rethink how the whole thing. And I don't know how I beat him. I think I ended up just kind of copying his build. And then I was up. And then I think I killed him with the fists in the end. I just flew up to him and just beat the shit out of him with the daggers. But it's really fun. When I saw that I think From Software made them anyway, didn't they? It's owned by Bandai Namco.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. There might have been one where they like weren't so involved or whatever. But
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it was I'm really excited for that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
we'll
liked
have to get
one.
that.
I forget which one it was, but it was I guess the only one I really played was for PS2, and I just remember like realizing these controls are really unorthodox, and I spent like like I really liked it though, and I wanted to get good at it and wanted to master it. So I spent hours just in those little like training simulation things where you just start off and there's like two guys and a couple buildings, and you just like you'd have like you get like a left shoulder, right shoulder gun, and you can like you get primary and secondary, which you can switch on left and right, and then you'd have like your boosters. You had like a booster that would just like turn you like 90 degrees or something like that. I forget what it was, and so you could like hold like R and then hit your like left booster, so you do like this like that you'd like flank them and stuff, and then you get like shooting like while you're flanking and stuff, and it's really cool. And so I'm excited to
Mm,
see how it's developed. I didn't play like the most recent one or anything like that, but I really hope they keep the customization.
mm-hmm.
I hope the unorthodox controls and because it was like it didn't feel like you're playing an RPG where you're like, oh, mash square and X is jump and then like hold R to run. It felt like you were like pulling levers and like hitting buttons and like gee like
Right.
operating a machine with your controllers. So it was like this whole different kind of like atmosphere of
Yeah.
learning the controls, which is really neat. No other game has really like done that, I think. Kind of broken that dogma of how you're supposed to use the controller to play a game. I mean, like Death Stranding did a thing where it's like you don't use like any of it, you don't even play the game. That was like whatever, right? But
Right.
Armored Core, like yeah, really
I
looking forward to that.
I
But
just is that come? I hope it comes out on PC. Fuck, I really don't want to have to buy a PS5 to play that.
yeah, no,
It
it
probably
probably
will be
PC.
PS5 exclusive. For Christ's
Static
sake.
looks sick. They were like all the metal is
Yeah.
black and the only lights you see are these like little fucking red ones and shit. It's like, oh, that's so cool.
Bruh. Good
The
edge
whole
lord though.
world's destroyed. The whole world is like 2029. Like
To
fucking
2029. Yeah, and just Elon Musk's face everywhere. Like he told you so. The AI takes over. That's literally what the AI robots. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That'll be it. That'll be how it
Fucking-
ends. Yeah,
I wonder if there's gonna be a fucking Tesla like fucking tag you can put on your damn mech and record
probably,
just like fucking Tesla, like SpaceX or something.
probably. Yeah,
SpaceX engines or something. That'd be interesting.
fucking right.
But
Yes, sir.
so
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Goddamn.
yes,
Well,
sir.
any closing thoughts? I guess anything that we didn't say that you want to say, you get off your chest.
Uh, Closing thoughts. Man, there's what Christmas? What's our schedule looking like next week? When is Christmas? Today is the
Christmas is not this Sunday, but next Sunday. Oh,
it's
that's
a
way sooner
Sundays.
than I thought it was. Jesus
Yeah, so
Christ. Okay.
so we've got what Thursday is fucking 17th. We won't get two before Christmas. So I guess the next one is our
Next one will be
Christmas
Christmas
episode.
special. Yeah. You
Yeah,
know,
our Christmas special and next one,
yeah,
yeah.
we're really gonna have to try to. I mentioned I was here. I'll mention it. I was streaming on the Casual Cats TikTok this afternoon. I
Right.
was streaming for about 30, 40 minutes. I was just playing guitar because I can't go live on mine because I don't have enough
Right.
followers. And I got 230 views in total, and I got 1,000 likes.
Oh, geez,
That
nice.
doesn't even make sense. So I mean, people must just get hitting the like button. Brennan thought,
Yeah.
but still, like, so I'm doing that for music's sake, but
Yeah.
also, yeah, just the power of TikTok. We're wasting our time on Twitch recording
You
these
got
fucking things. We need to spend more time marketing this like properly, to the
my
people, to the masses.
my mother bought Shiloh a dog advent calendar, so I've been posting on the Shiloh and Grimm thing. Still in the 400 view club, but like
Hmm.
people like see it, I like it. There's been comments. It's had the best engagement of like the pet videos so far that aren't
Hmm.
like the weird ones. Like not weird.
The meme ones.
The aggressively groomed to grow channel pet ones. So like
Hmm.
it's like it's just what would we call it? It's just um it's just the media style. It's just the style of the media, right? 2 seconds per clip. You get like that. You get like some techno flashy light effect or whatever. You get to talk of all the things, right? If you do that, you might get out of the 400 views. Oh, like and follow all those things you'll get out of it. But yeah, Yeah, that's where we're at now. It's been fun. TikToks is fun. Apparently it's getting banned again. I don't know, but
TikTok's getting banned.
I don't know. Like it,
Interesting.
we use it. China.
Good.
China is having Tiananmen Square Circuit 2022 right now,
Mm.
and we're officially gonna take CCP as like the branding.
Yeah, we're gonna, yeah.
Can
Once
take it.
once they fall, we're gonna
Yeah,
fucking
we're gonna move
copyrighter.
right in,
Yeah,
just like the Washingtons, Redskins or whatever. You
yeah.
know, we're just gonna take on
Ooh,
that
new
thing.
CCP. Yes,
CCP.
sir. I was talking to a guy from China this afternoon. Someone from China from
Yeah.
Anshan province. He was
Uh,
watching. I was like, "What's up?"
nice.
He was like, "Very good performance." I was like, "Thanks, man." Yeah,
There you
yeah,
go.
appreciate it. Yeah. So
Yeah,
there you
people are
go.
out there.
Yeah,
Very
they're
nice.
all out there. But yeah, fuck. I don't know. I guess that's probably it then, huh?
Sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Sure.
Episode number 17. So
Catch
fuck
Cat 17. Check us
yeah.
out on Spotify.
Check us out on
Catch Cat Podcast.
Spotify. Follow us on Twitch. Follow if you're on watching us on Spotify, then follow us on Spotify and yeah, do all that good
Every
stuff.
Thursday.
Every
Sunday, but it's
Thursday,
every Thursday.
yeah, we've made to push it back. Usually every 8:30, every Thursday 8:30 p.m. Eastern is when we go live. So, or Atlantic, sorry, not Eastern. Atlantic, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Atlantic time. Yeah, so you can check us out then.